Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just two announcements. Councilmember Kathy Sapp will not be, is not present this evening, and Councilman Frank Pecora is available by phone. Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese.
Present.
Councilor Fascio.
Present.
Councilman Getzey.
Present.
Councilwoman Sapp. Deputy Mayor Pecora.
Present.
I'd like to move for the approval of the minutes of December 28th, 2021.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Getzey. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Fascio.
Since I was not present at the meeting, I will abstain.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
May I get a motion for item number 5, approval of expenditures?
I'd like to move for approval of expenditures.
Thank you, Councilor Fascio. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes.
Item 5 approved. Next on the agenda is the section dedicated for comment on non-agenda items. To speak on a non-agenda item, the charter requires that you submit your name and address and topic at least 1 week in advance. At this time, I will call the names of the individuals that have requested time on the agenda tonight. Michael White. Is Mr. White in the audience tonight? I'm going to recommend that you move on with the agenda. If he appears later in the meeting, it'll be up to you if you want to open it at that time.
Okay, thank you. You might have noticed that before, just before we got started, there was a little bit of back and forth here. I was checking with the solicitor for the procedure because item number 9B, ordinance 2690 of 2022. We're asking to move that to the top of the agenda. From the time that the agenda was printed until now, we've had some, once the agenda was published, we've had some questions, we've had some residents question that particular item. This is an item having to do with the school bus garage on Salzburg Road. I spoke with some members of council. A number of us have questions, and we're not saying that we're intending to vote down that item. We're just intending to table that. It's our understanding, for example, that this would be the largest influx of buses. My understanding is that there would be probably close to 300 buses, and that would be the largest amount of buses in any municipality in Allegheny County. We have questions about how long does it take, for example, for a bus to leave a terminal. If you've got, say, 275 buses and it takes a minute, that's 275 minutes. If it takes 30 seconds, it's half that. So the question is, what is the impact on the traffic? What is the impact on our infrastructure? We've got a lot of questions, and so at this time, I want to be clear that it's not our intent to say no, it's our intent to do some further investigation. So I would like to make a I'm sorry, that would be out of order right now. So at this time, I am making a motion that we table item 9B. May I get a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any public comment on the tabling of this item? Yes, please come forward.
Greg Swatchik, 648 Gramick Lane. Thank you, Your Honor, for taking this up and maybe giving extra consideration to, you know, the specificity, detail, so on and so forth, the impact that this is likely to occur. Some of the things that may have which been overlooked or, you know, needs to be focused maybe more accurately. And I'd just like to categorize those things just briefly. One of the elements is procedural questions. There is the MPC code the solicitor is familiar with. I know a bit about it from the DeAndrea case, but not much. I think there are some procedural issues with it. I also think under the procedural issues, there's timing and scheduling of documents and notice and so on, and maybe a consolidation that occurred after the Planning Commission looked at it and then looked at a second revision to it and a zoning change and another municipal curative amendment. There's a very strict process, unlike in the political arena where, you know, it's your preference, personal opinion, majority rule, provided it's legal. This is a very rigorous process where in the MPC code there's absolute zero wiggle room. You can do anything you want, but you have to follow that procedure. And I think that we fell short of that. And I won't go on because it's being tabled, but I would just request, Your Honor, if in the course of, you know, you alluding to needing more time to study and find particulars on the subject matter for a future agenda item, in as much as I anticipated that I would be speaking on this evening, I was at the Planning Commission meeting and I was the only one there. And it surprised me because of all the residents around. So, as you know, I submitted at the workshop some newspaper articles that dealt with the school district, and you're real familiar with it because you came from the school district board, the school board itself. You know, everybody comes from somewhere, but you're at least, thank God, familiar from 2016, 17, 18, whenever you were there. So that's very helpful. I think that feeds into this overall stuff. I'm not saying that's a contract zoning issue. I'm not saying that there's a spot zoning issue. The solicitor's good at figuring all that out. But in as much as I submitted to council at the workshop, those newspaper articles, 5 total, dealing with the school district, that's in the record. And the other thing is, I did submit to you evidence of the February 14th debacle for the date. So I'm not going to reiterate that, but what I would like to do tonight, if I could, is just submit these letters to mayor and council that I prepared that will go a long way to help you get your head around this, and then I'm done.
Well, let me just be clear. Right now, this is just on the motion to table, so it's not appropriate to get into discussion right now about the pros and cons of the particular project.
I understand, so I'll stop. But can I make one last request? In as much as I came here and I have this, can I save a stamp and just sort of hand it to you? so that you have a chance to review it, because it is germane to the topic at
Sure,
hand
what-
and what you profess your interests are, and it can only aid and assist that.
I understand.
I have no choice on...
And that's fine. We'll be happy to take those after the meeting, or if you need to leave early, we'll take them from you.
Okay, yeah, after the meeting's fine.
Okay, thank you.
And then for the real board, when this is really on the agenda, this will just be, this was for your convenience to flip through, take notes, take home, throw it away, start
Okay.
your fireplace. But I did make a PDF for Chris, so he can put it up
I'm
on
sorry,
the
Mr.
screens
Swanson,
for the
you have to
benefit of the
conclude.
audience.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any further,
On the motion to table.
Please be mindful of the 3 minutes.
Yes, of course. My name is Joe McAndrew. I'm 1718 Outlook Drive. I'm on the Planning Commission. Overall, I just wanted to thank you for tabling this. I think this was something that definitely needs more information studied, particularly in terms of the impact on the transportation. I really do think tripling the size of the bus garage is something that really needs a hard look in terms of the traffic and the influx it would have on our traffic in our community. So just want to say thank you for taking the time to do your due diligence.
yeah, there's someone coming up now, but you can go next. Pardon me? All right. Yes, he's
My
ahead
name
of
is
you.
Jerry Chipinelli, 921 Cimarron Drive, and I'm the chairman of the Planning Commission. We approved this after a 4-year working relationship with this bus company. Some of the things that are put on the agenda or on the ordinance for them to have their buses have been worked on for 4 years. The improvement on the total package should double or triple what they pay in taxes to Penn Hills. The improvement of the sidewalk from the dance school to Alcoma Drive, and I tell you what, I agree with you to table it. I want to say that to you. I came to give you some additional information, and there's 4 pages of information which I'd like to give you. This is a good project. The traffic, I live there. The traffic from the current bus never has a problem. Sidewalks, new fences, and development of the land, all the water and sewerage that's going to be improved in the area, in the front, in the back. Think about everything there. You guys want to table it, that's fine. I heard about it, and I say, go ahead, table it. But eventually, Penn Hills has to move forward. It's going to be an improvement of taxes. It never had a problem with buses there, traffic, never. So you have twice as many, they're going the other way. But the road is a state road. And if I believe it or not, I have probably a relationship with the planning
Mr.
department.
Chipinelli, we're just hearing discussion on whether we should table it or not
I
table it
agree
right
to
now.
table it,
Okay, thank you.
and I'll have information for you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ma'am, you're up.
My name is Joanne Taylor. Some of you know me. I see a couple people that do. And I know Jerry, who you don't live exactly where I live, where the buses and they're building and knocking and destruction and everything that's going on. He lives at the plan that's over from me, so he doesn't even get a visual aspect of what it looks like where I live right now, which I've lived for 40 years in the same house on Martinique Drive. I had a terrible tragedy 3 years ago where my house burnt down, and they had to be rebuilt, which they did, and so it's basically a new house, maybe 3 years old. So everything basically inside is new. If somebody would want to come and buy my house, you'd need to do anything, nothing. So it would be buying a brand-new house. Of course, I would never get this money out of it. The reason being, the area is so disturbed. First of all, I'm talking about the ordinance 2654, which is unnecessary regulation of noise, disturbing noise.
Ma'am, over here, over this way.
Stand, ma'am. Yes.
This is a discussion period on whether mayor and council should table consideration of this ordinance right now. It's not consideration, as the mayor indicated, of the pros and cons, whether it's the best use of any other use for this property or whether it's not a very good use. The only thing that's under consideration right now is whether mayor and council should table this right now so that it can do its due diligence and then bring it up on the floor at a later date to allow the public to come in and then weigh in on the pros and cons. So as I indicated to Mr. Chipinelli, as I indicated to Mr. Swacek, all we're talking about right now is whether it should be tabled or not tabled.
So you're saying for another date, a later
Yes.
date? Okay, because I have retained an attorney, who was a land trust attorney and zoning attorney, quite a big firm, that's going to be handling this for me, Thomas and Leverson.
Sure.
So would I be able to have that date ahead of time to be able to have them be here? and
Absolutely.
present
It'll be
things to you
published.
about what's going on, or what would
When-
what
when
would
it-
I go from there? I've only
Absolutely.
paid taxes for 40 years, and now I'm getting nothing for it.
When council places it back on the agenda, all of the public will be notified.
Will be notified, I'll be notified?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
How will I be notified? By mail? Email? What?
The agenda is published.
I have to look for it being published?
Chris,
I'd like
was
to know
there-
how I'd be
would they get
notified.
additional notice via mail? It's probably just be published.
Chris?
I would imagine that it would most likely be published. It will also be on Savvy Citizen. But, Ms. Taylor, I can comment. I know you, you know.
You'll let me know?
I will let you know, but I wanted to ask, Meg Balsamico sent out, I believe, 15 letters to neighboring property owners. Were you one of those property owners?
Am I
Have you
what?
received letters? Have you received letters about this hearing? I'm asking Mrs. Taylor, thank you very much for that information, Greg. Were you given one of the letters? Did you receive a letter about this hearing?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll make sure that you get on
No,
that list.
I did not.
Okay, I'll make sure that you get on
Yeah,
that list.
no.
Thank you.
Okay. I've only proceeded this on my own because of the damage they've done to my property.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council? So we have a voting meeting once a month, and we also have a non-voting meeting. After tonight's council meeting, I intend to take a straw poll of council and ask them if they would like to have the next non-voting meeting be a specific meeting about this particular issue. Council meetings don't really lend themselves to give and take, but when we have the non-voting meeting, that is a place where we can have a back and forth. So I'm going to put the manager on the spot right now. Do you know when our next non-voting meeting would be?
I can tell you in a moment.
It'll be the same as February.
We have, it would be, the 14th would be the week before.
It repeats February, isn't it? It's exactly the same, so it'll be the 7th and the 21st of March.
So the 21st will be our, March 21st is our next council meeting, correct?
Yes.
And so the next non-voting would be March 14th.
Is it, if it's the first Monday, that would be correct, yeah.
No,
No, the
it's the
second.
second
I'm sorry,
Monday.
the second Monday.
The 14th.
So obviously, I just came up with that,
So,
and we don't
If
have.
it's the second Monday, that's the 14th. I apologize, Mayor.
So we don't have consensus yet, but I think that might be a good idea to do that, and that would give people the opportunity to come in, and we can have a give and take. I have to check with the solicitor, I have to check with the rest of council, but right now, you might want to sort of tuck that away, that might be the way to do that, to give Mr. Kreis's company an opportunity to come forward, to give the planning commission an opportunity to come forward, and to give the residents an opportunity to come forward. Because right now, this is just on the issue of tabling that particular item. Any further comment from council? Roll call.
On the motion to table, Councilor Fascio,
Yes,
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Item 9B tabled.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7A?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-7, approving a second change order with SE Construction for $40,393.
Thank you, Counselor Fascio. May I get a second?
Second.
Before we move to public comment, I wonder, Chris, or would it be appropriate for someone to explain what this is?
Rick is here.
Rick, would it be?
Yes, I can do that. So there are, the next two items are also in this category of a change order, so I'll speak to all of them and then individually as well. The general comment is that these are projects, opportunities in existing contracts where additional work is being found, either as a safety issue or just due to age and replacement. We have current contracts. Well, we've been doing this in the past, in the recent past. You've seen change orders on past contracts. So these are not related to mistakes, oversights, additional work that wasn't seen or foreseen in the original design or in the original inspection. These are opportunities for extra work that we've negotiated a price. We have a contract. We can save on the engineering design. We can save on the bidding of the projects, the advertising, all the formality going through that bidding process. It is still considered a bid project. All these projects were bid, and so these change order amounts are legitimate as part of the contract and also as far as pricing goes. So that's the general idea on all three. I wanted to make that clear, that these are very positive, that we're able to do this work and save money. This is a result of your stimulus funding, that the Water Pollution Control Department is seeking out areas of the system that have not been able to be maintained in the past as a result of budget.
You mean the sewer system?
Yes, what did I say?
Well, you didn't. You've just been speaking general, but we are.
Sorry. Yes, Water Pollution Control Department manages the sewage system and the pumps, the treatment plants. It's a complex and massive facility. So with the stimulus funding, they're able to now prioritize and even implement some of these needed repairs before they become emergencies, like we have had, in the recent past. Emergencies are much more expensive. So first one on the agenda is the change order to replace a 6-inch water utility line at the Plum Creek sewage treatment plant. This is a line that is relatively old, as most of the system there. There was due to some extreme cold weather, the line did freeze and crack in several places. So that is the proposal, to replace that line at the key components and paint and finish the pipe completely, so you have a brand new system for that water line. So that's the reason for Resolution 2022-7.
Any public comment? Any comment from council? I would like to say that when you look at our sewer system, it's really, really complex, and I'm very, very proud to say that we probably have the best system in all of Allegheny County. I know that people like to say, they don't recognize sometimes that there's a distinction between the sewer system and the water system. And I know that it's not something that we see all the time, but I can assure you that from the presentations we've had from the engineer and from what I see throughout the county, Penn Hills, we are so far ahead of the game compared to other communities. You probably won't notice this for years to come, but it's, I'm very proud of our system, and we fortunately got the stimulus money, and that was the one issue that nobody had any debate over. It was crystal clear in the policies, the regulations, the information that came from the federal government that we absolutely, positively could use the money for the sewer system, and I'm very proud of the work that, that our municipality has done on this. Thank you so much, Rick.
You're welcome.
Any further comment from council?
I have a comment. I want to support what you said. The regulations clearly state that the water sewer activities are eligible, eligible without question. And I think I recommended one other time that a considerable amount of the grant go to making that improvement, which benefits everybody.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Pecora on item 7A.
I got it, yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes,
Councilman Getzey.
Yes,
Item 7A approved.
Thank you. May I get a motion for item 7B?
Yes, Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-8, approving first change order with American Electric Group for $28,542.09.
Thank you, Councilman Pecora. May I get a second?
second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes,
Councilman Getzey.
yes,
Item 7B approved.
Thank you. May I get a motion for item 7C?
I'll make a motion for item 7C, 2022-9, approving the first change order with JP Environmental for $35,800.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. May I get a second?
second.
Thank you, Councilman Pecora. Any comment from the public?
Hello, Dara Mendez, 120 Urban Drive. Just had two questions. Are all three of these resolutions related to the Plum Creek sewage treatment plant?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, are all three of these resolutions, A, B, and C, all related to the Plum Creek sewage treatment plant, as described by Minister Min?
No, they're not. They're each one is different and unique.
Okay.
I could give
Could I
an
request an
explanation, is what you're asking.
Yes, thank you. And then the second question, could you also share what percentage of the sewage treatment work that's been done accounts for the full stimulus? So what percentage would you say has gone towards this infrastructural work?
I'm so sorry. Could you please repeat that question?
Yes, could you also share what percentage of this work that was done for this sewage treatment infrastructure for Penn Hills from the actual stimulus money? What percentage came from stimulus? So out of the 100%, 20% went towards this type of work. Could you break that down?
Do you mean the 100% of the total amount of money they received from the stimulus funding?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is that 18 million? Is that the number we're talking
18
about?
I mean, offhand, I'd have to do some back of the.
Yeah, these are very small amounts. So the first one we talked about was 40,000. So if you take that, add it to the second one we're talking about, which is 28,000. If you add them all together, it's 100,000.
Divide that by-
So it's a very minor percentage of those funds. I see. Yeah, we don't have that right here. Tonight is just to talk about these three change orders to get this extra work from these contracts. That would take some time for the finance director probably to pull together. And it's just starting, so last year was the first year. This year, there are funds budgeted, so that sounds like an accounting function.
The stimulus usage for 21 and 22, it's online. Our budget's online as well as the stimulus presentation. That would give you a little more idea of where the money was spent as it relates to sewers.
And to go back to what your other question was, the second change order that was approved is related to a control panel. So this is at the pump station, at the Paxico pump station. There was pumps that were being replaced. As part of the work to replace the pumps and the minor electrical work that went along with it, it was discovered that the control panel is in need of replacement. It's not grounded well, and the electrical engineer deemed it to be mechanically and even electrically unsafe. So that is the reason for the change order here, is to replace that panel for the new pumps that are being installed. On the surface, it looked like it would work to manage the new pumps, but after they were running the wiring and they got closer in to see the control panel, it's not advisable to keep that panel. So that's the explanation for number 2, and I think we're on number 3 now, for C.
7C? Yes,
Yes.
we're on 7C.
So the explanation for that change order for $35,000 is it's supplying new check valves. So this is at the Long Road pump station, and there are check valves that keep the water from backflowing in the piping system, and those check valves and plug valves are failing. So once again, as part of the routine evaluations that the Water Pollution Control Department folks are doing, now that they have funding to address issues like this, this investigation turned up that these valves are in very bad shape and are in dire need of replacement. So this is the contract to do that, or I'm sorry, the change order that was put to the contract related to other work in the system, other similar work this contractor has experience. And I'll mention too that a lot of this work on your system in most sewage treatment plants is specialty work. So there are only so many contractors that do it, and we have 2 of them here that service a lot of the Penn Hills work, and they're excellent contractors. We get good prices, good response, so we're fortunate. In other areas, we're not so fortunate. We're getting people traveling a long distance, and the cost is much higher.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pecora?
Yes.
Item 7C approved.
May I get a motion for item 7D?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2022-10, approving a grant application to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for $65,810 for demolition funding for 5 structures.
Thank you, Councilman Pecora. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public comment? Any comment from council? So clearly this is, Chris, would you say this is for the demolition of vacant property?
Yes, it is. This is one of many grants that we received, and each grant has its own characteristics, and each house has its own needs also. So we've been using CDBG funds, CFA or Commonwealth Financing Authority funds, DCED funds. We'll be taking down approximately 39 homes this year.
So this is an application for a grant, which means that you won't be using any stimulus money for this, correct?
That's correct. No stimulus money, right.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Item 7D approved.
May I get a motion for item 7E?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-11, awarding the Penn Hills 2022 Blight Remediation Bramble Street Project to Letterman Excavating for $13,980.
Thank you, Councilor Fascio. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Item 7E approved.
Thank you. May I get a motion for item 7F?
I'll make a motion for item 7F, approve resolution 2022-12, approving a grant application to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for $70,000 for the Verona, Oakmont, Penn Hills, and Plum Trail Segment VOPP.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Fascio. Any comment from the public?
Me? Me? Thank you. I will.
Just to be clear, I apologize.
I'm
Right.
willing to repeat. I will repeat it.
Okay, just to be clear, so if everybody could please speak into their microphone, thank you for letting us know, because sometimes we're not really conscious of that. The other thing that we try to do, although it might sound like we're being overly formal, I will try to state by name because we're making a record. So although many people in here might know who we are, some people don't. But what's even more important is, for the history books or whatever, we will point out each individual who's making the motion, so we do call them by name. Having said that, Councilman Getzey, would you please repeat?
Yes. Approve Resolution 2022-12, approving a grant application to the Commonwealth Finance Authority for $70,000 for the Verona, Oakmont, Penn Hills, and Plum Trail Segment 2, VOPP.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Fascio. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Chris, would you like to take about 10 seconds and explain what that is? Because I think we've been over this many times, but we have some new faces.
Wow, 10 seconds. Yeah, this is, we've received as a group of communities, the Verona, Oakmont, Penn Hills, and Plum, we received multiple grants, Allegheny grants that mostly assisted with the feasibility study for this grant. Now at this time, we're sort of taking off individually. Verona's working on their phase one, their segment one, and Mayor and Council passed a resolution last year to take ownership of a 66-foot wide by about a mile railroad right-of-way adjacent to Milltown Park. And what I'm applying for here is a Commonwealth Finance Authority grant to provide get a design, engineering, specifications for what it would actually cost and prepare specifications to build that section of trail. And I guess I'll take the opportunity to thank State Representative Tony DeLuca for assisting us through these grants, the 3 grants that you've just approved resolutions, and we're hoping that we get this one also.
I was being a little facetious with my time. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Item 7F approved.
May I get a motion for items 7G?
Mayor, I'll make a motion for Resolution 2022-13. Honorably discharge of Officer Jared Rothard from service for a service-related disability and approving a settlement agreement.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Just to be clear, in case you did not hear that, that was to approve Resolution 2022-13, honorably discharging Officer Jared Rothard from service for a service-related disability and approving a settlement agreement. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Item 7G approved.
I'll note for the record that there is, after item 7, there is no number 8. It goes to item number 9. May I get a motion for item number 9A?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2689 of 2022, amending and revising the schedule of fees for building permits, pavilion rental, and municipal fees.
May I get a second, please?
Second.
Any comment, any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Counselor Fascio.
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Pecora.
Yes.
Item 9A approved. Earlier in the meeting, at the non-agenda item, public comment, we called for Mr. White. If Mr. White is in the audience now, doesn't look like it, so.
Moving to mayor and council reports. Councilman Pecora, do you have any, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Pecora, do you have any report?
I think I heard you, Mayor. No, I have no reports at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilor Fascio, do you have any reports?
I'd just like to briefly note that we did submit our first expenditure report for use of stimulus funds. I believe that report will be, or
Available
is.
publicly. It might already be on the website.
Okay,
But it is
but it will
available
be.
publicly.
And it's available to anyone who wants to look. The report hewed pretty favorably to the categories that were outlined in the stimulus plan in the fall that was approved by mayor and council. And just as a somewhat tangential note, because that money to some extent was able to increase the stability of our financial position, we also very happily heard that our rating had been improved. So I want to thank manager and staff. Sherry's still out with baby.
Yeah, she's doing well, too.
Good,
But,
good.
She was a big part of helping with that.
Well, thank you all, and keep an eye on what we're doing with this money. It is available for public review, and I urge anybody to direct all questions to him. But hopefully you'll see that it does pretty well align categorically with what was proposed. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Getzey.
Yes, I have concerns about the American Rescue Plan stimulus grant, and my concerns I will detail, but I'm not submarining anybody here because I sent out copies of my questions and comments to everybody before this meeting. And this is my concern. In March of 2021, approximately, the federal government awarded us $18 million in two stages, $9 million in 2021 and $9 million to be awarded in 2022. And because I have a background in federal grants, I was very curious and read through this, and it's quite complex, a lot of questions. But I read through it and still have some questions. So my concern is this. First of all, with the questions I had and the questions I answered in a couple of presentations I made here at council, I haven't gotten any feedback. I have sent, since that time, 35 memos to mayor, council manager, and occasionally I'll include Chris and I'll include the solicitor, but I have received no reply to any questions I have. And if I have questions and I'm looking at this, I'm sure there has to be questions out there. There's been no significant discussion among council manager about any issues that have come up. Anything that's online, I think, should be brought to council and explained and talked about, and not think that what is online is going to be read by everybody or understood by everybody. So, and I'm very concerned because when we had that fire on Rodi Road, where so many people were displaced early in the morning, I subsequently called the manager and said, what kind of response are we going to have to support these people from the stimulus grant, which specifically talks about housing people who have no residence, or homeless people, or people who are displaced. There's a very specific paragraph addressing that. And the manager said, we're not going to be supporting that. And I said, why? And he said, because the money we got is in an interest-bearing account and not available. And that upset me, because from the time he gave us a plan, and I saw nothing happening, and now he's telling me we can't help these people who are residents of Penn Hills, and the money is tied up. So, with that summary, my concern is this. In the regulations, there's a concluding paragraph talks about the federal government reclaiming any money that is spent improperly or not spent. And I'm concerned that they will look at that and say, why was your initial $9 million grant tied up for a year and inaccessible? And I don't have the answer to that, and I do look at the regulations every day. So what I am asking tonight is that the responsibility for management of the stimulus grant be given to Chris Blackwell and the planning staff to manage and report to council on, because I think the way the grant has been handled to date is not informative. Information online is not seen by everybody, and I think that the entire matter has been handled in such a way as to be, it doesn't explain the grant well. People who might be eligible might not be getting the funds, and when I talk to anybody I know in the public, people know very little about this grant. It has not been well advertised, and what if there's any funding planned or happening, a lot of people aren't aware of it, and there's a lot of people out there who need this funding and aren't aware of it, and for that, I think the planning department is very responsible, has handled many grants, and I think more accessible to the public than our manager has been. And I'm requesting again that this program be managed by the planning department and who will report directly to council, and the manager can manage the other programs in the area, in this area. So that's my comments on the stimulus grant. Anybody who wants to talk to me personally about it, feel free. And if anybody on council has any comments about it, I'll be willing to listen, but that's my position on this. Now I have a second question. Why are we not filling the positions on the library board? I think in the past there have been some people who have good credentials, may have applied or would like to apply, and those positions have remained open, and I can't see why we can't get that board filled up so that it can function properly with a lot of information from the community into the planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. Well, I'll respond. I'm frankly baffled at that dissertation. And on March 26th of 2021, United States Congressman Connor Lamb came to Pennsylvania, came to Penn Hills and announced that we would be getting $18 million. On April 12th, 2021, we had a non-voting meeting held on the stimulus. The purpose of the meeting was to take public input, and we did that on April 12th. On May 24th, the council meeting, we had another stimulus discussion. In July of 2021, an email address was set up to take public input on the stimulus. A resource page was added to the website. On September 13th of 2021, a draft proposed stimulus plan for 2021 was presented to the public. On October 18th, 2021, council voted unanimously. Let me repeat that. Council voted unanimously to approve the stimulus program for 2021. On October 25, 2022, budget and 2022 stimulus proposal was presented publicly. On November 15th, the first public hearing on the 2022 stimulus/budget was presented. On November 22nd, the second public hearing on the 2022 stimulus budget was presented. I think what's being said here is that there were emails that were drafted by the councilman, and perhaps the emails were not responded to. There are some of us who believe that we need to strictly follow the Sunshine Act. We are to discuss and operate in the sunshine. That's what we do here. We operate in the public. You need to hear what our discussions are. We're not supposed to have these discussions behind closed doors. We're supposed to have them out here in the public. That's what we have been doing repeatedly. And when I say unanimous, that includes the councilman. He voted for these items. So I'm quite baffled by that. In terms of the library board, I will say that each board, each commission, each board, each committee, all of those things need to be published. People need to have the opportunity to submit a request. Frankly, the very first immediate need was on the personnel board. That's Penn Hill's version of civil service. Until the new election, my hands were tied. Anybody that watches any of our meetings could see. I'm not telling you anything that you couldn't see or that you can't go back and watch. There was always a 3-2 swing, a 3-2 vote. My hands were tied until the new election. Couldn't put anybody in. The former police chief said, look, we need new police officers. We're ready to go. We had there was an urgent need to have that board filled. We put folks up. The way the process is the mayor appoints and then council approves. We had such shenanigans as, oh, we need to see a resume. This is the age of technology. We don't need a paper resume. LinkedIn and emails were sent out. Council has the ability to call anybody or interview anybody. Nobody ever stopped anybody. We had a businessman, a business owner, an attorney. He's a former NFL football player. He had to, unfortunately, go through those shenanigans. There were members of the public who had submitted resumes for other positions that never got to me. There were people who wanted to apply, couldn't get them approved. Unfortunately, that's what the process is. So now what we're doing is we're publishing each of these. There are openings. People should be given the opportunity to come in and request to be put on a board or a commission or, for all of these openings. Then what will happen is you'll, get a call if somebody wants to apply. Typically for the convenience of the person who is a volunteer, for their convenience, they can come in and be interviewed by everybody, or if anybody on council wants to make a phone call or whatever, that can be done. So here we are. This is only our second council meeting with the new administration, and it would, we're not going to rush after we've waited over a year. Now we suddenly need to rush. But we have had all of these discussions. So on the lighter side, I'm not sure that everybody really caught the impact of what Councilor Fascio said. We are in a good economic position. We've been upgraded. This is really, really good news for Penn Hills. Penn Hills is, traditionally, we have an over 90% tax collection rate. We are just moving in a really good, positive direction. Our infrastructure is very, very sound. We met with Scott Shepard, head of Department Works, Scott Andrachek, the manager. We were invited to a meeting. I, along with the mayor of Monroeville, we were invited to a meeting a little over a week ago with the county executive, Rich Fitzgerald, and pardon me? and with PennDOT. So what they've done is, I don't know if you know this, but Penn Hills has about 30 bridges. We are huge. People don't know how big we are. If you're coming off the Parkway and you look to the left, there is the Hindu temple. That is the largest and oldest Hindu temple in North America. Every single weekend, 5,000 to 7,000 people from all over the world pilgrimage there. And so there will be roads and that bridge that we're in talks right now to get that construction started, to apply for grants. That's really, really big news. That's really, really good news. And again, that sort of money doesn't come into Penn Hills unless we have demonstrated to elected officials from federal, state, and county entities that we actually have the ability to handle that kind of money and to process that kind of construction. So that's really exciting. There was a CDC, the Community Development Corporation, a meeting occurred. A very interesting gentleman came in and talked about home ownership. I have to understand the details of it further, but it sounds like it's a really great opportunity for home ownership. Right now, he has a pilot program in McKees Rocks. Penn Hills is different than McKees Rocks. We're much larger. I believe he said they have about 40% home ownership. We actually have 75 to 80% home ownership. So I'm really interested and excited to hear about what that program has to bring. The other thing that's really, really cool is our very own.
Can I respond to the stimulus thing before you've kind of drifted off the topic here?
I'm sorry, Councilor Getze, this is not a workshop. We do this every time. This is the way the meeting runs. You have the opportunity to speak, and then we finish. So it's really, really exciting. Our very own Aaron Donald, right? So he hasn't even made it to the White House yet, but I'm trying to work out a schedule. It would be great to, we need to honor him. We need to recognize him, and it's too soon right now. He's pretty busy in other parts of the world, but we're very, very proud of him, and we can, as we move forward, we will honor him properly and appropriately, but I didn't think it was right to not recognize him, at least in some way right now.
Can I respond to that?
No, we're going to follow the agenda. What we had last time,
I'm not going to be able to respond to your comments.
What happened? Let me just be clear. At our last meeting, we published our procedures. Someone came in, and it wasn't clear, so we let them speak. But what we decided is we're going to really follow our agenda, because it's not fair to the public to cut the public off. So when we have our non-voting meetings, there's that give and take. At our voting meetings, we really follow the agenda to a T. So there will be an opportunity to do that at a future time. For right now, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. If anybody would like to know more about this, I will hold a training session and information session with anybody for 1 hour and answer your questions.
Mayor, before people leave, I misspoke, and I want to point out that the March 14th is the non-voting meeting. I misspoke.
Okay.
And the voting meeting is March 21st. However, I encourage everybody to look at the agenda online to see what's on there until we schedule.
It will be published.